Hi. So we all thought that the podcast the we all thought that the pandemic was coming to an end in January or February, and we all started almost rejoicing and feeling comfortable with where the world was going. But we are back in probably the same situation as 2020, if not a little bit worse. And with that, we, as a public relations company, a lot of our clients are coming back to us and asking us, how do we get our voice out? How do we get our message out? And I think one of the best ways, what we are telling them, is to consider podcasts. Podcast is a really interesting way to get your message out, whatever your field of work or business may be. What is a podcast? A lot of people are still asking this in 2021, even though it's been around for a long time. In fact, I am India's oldest continuous podcaster. I started doing a podcast out of just experimentation in 2006. It's called the Health Tips Podcast, and it's still on today. We have around 50,000 to 100,000 listeners depending on the episode, and we've had some really interesting people on it, guests on it in the past many years. We had Usain Bolt, we had Soha Ali Khan, we had Eddie Stern, the yoga teacher of Madonna, and a lot of interesting people. So what is exactly a podcast? The easiest way to define a podcast is to now, earlier I used to call it, radio, online, a lot of things, but now one of the easiest ways I have found to define it is to call it on-demand audio. So all of you are probably familiar with the Netflix of the world, so Netflix or Amazon Prime. So both these are video on demand. So whenever you want, whenever you can watch a program when you want, where you want, at the pace that you want. In the same way, podcasts are basically audio on demand. So podcasts, you record. It's like whenever you have you record episodes and you upload them onto the internet, and you upload them into a media server. And there are a lot of media servers in the world, and then people mark these podcasts. Basically, they go and you give them an address and they mark these podcasts, and these podcasts then automatically come to their phone wherever they may be in the world. And this is time independent and geography independent. So what I mean by that is that it doesn't matter if you unlike a typical radio show, which is which you have to listen. You have to tell everyone that, I'll be on the air at 7 o'clock. Do listen to me, and you have to send out those WhatsApps to everybody. In this case, you don't have to do all that. Once you can record a episode at your convenience, upload it at your convenience, and it automatically, people start pulling it from all over the world. You do need to have you need to try to do a little bit of marketing, of course, and to tell the people that the episode exists, but you don't have to do a lot of it, in the sense you don't have to tell them to listen to it precisely at 7 p.m. In the evening or so, because it will always be the podcast will always be available to download depending on their convenience. The other interesting thing about a podcast, as compared to other internet services like a YouTube or things like that, is that podcasts more or less download to your phone. So it is not going to be streamed to your phone. It is going to be downloaded to your phone. So when you are asleep at night and you put your phone to charge, you can it happens automatically as well. But if you would like to do it manually, you can do it manually when you are near a Wi-Fi, and you say that you want this to be downloaded. And then all those podcasts, they come to your phone, and there are millions and millions of podcasts right now. All the major channels, whether it is BBC, CNN, you name it, and they all have podcast episodes, because once you have a podcast episode, your show can be heard in the jungles of Amazon, or in the snowy peaks of the Himalayas or in Antarctica, or even on a ship. So it doesn't matter where you are. And the other interesting thing I like about podcast is something which I realized recently, is that there's something special about audio. And this, what is special about audio is you can listen to, you can view 10 screens, 15 screens, 20 screens of video at one time, but you can only listen to one audio stream at one time. So you can't listen to more than one audio stream, which makes it a very intimate relationship between you and the listener. So if you are on the podcast, if you're on the podcast and talking to a listener, he has got his full attention to you, and he's probably wearing headphones, and so you're right there, right next to him, almost in his ear, and you're telling him about your product or service. So this is something that is an amazing factor. And not only that, podcasts are really good for a wide variety of subjects. So we have been doing something for a legal professional. We do things for the sports community. We do things for schools. There are a lot of different areas where you can use podcasts in, and they will reach out to the whole world. Almost the whole world is suddenly your market, and how well you can reach out to them. And the other interesting thing, as a long podcaster, I like about podcasts is that it is, you don't need so much of preparation in terms of the way it looks. So when I have to do a video like I'm doing right now, I really have to make sure that I'm looking into the into the lens, and the lighting should be correct, and the background should be correct, and everything should be in order. But when I do a podcast, it is basically, I can be myself, and I don't have to, and even whoever I'm interviewing, they are also more at ease, because in audio is almost, you forget that something is being recorded when you are on audio. You don't most people have a conscious opinion about the way they look. I mean, whenever they see themselves in any format, they're always conscious about the way they look. So half of their mind is going into how they're looking. But when it's audio, in audio, it's only the message that matters. In fact, many times I say that the message is more important than the medium. So it is not important, what shirt you or your guest is wearing, whether there's makeup, whether there's hair or lighting and all that kind of thing. All it matters is that what the person has to say, and how you're both contributing towards getting an interesting message out there. So a podcast is a really, really powerful tool in getting your message out, especially in these times of the corona, where we are isolated. We are disconnected. We cannot do the regular seminars. We can't do the regular events. So you can, and it's extremely low cost. So how do you go about actually creating a podcast? I'd like to go. I'll discuss this. I'll discuss this over the next 3-4 days. But there are primarily two ways to go about it. You can always, anything can be done yourself, or you can get a expert to do it. If you even if you have to do brain surgery, or you have to fly a plane, you can either if you have to fly a plane from here to Delhi or to anywhere, you can either go and you can pick up a training course and pick up a plane and buy the plane and start training on it and start learning how to fly the plane. Or you can just simply buy a ticket, and a pilot who has been trained for many months will fly you to your destination. Normally that is more efficient, and that is more comfortable, and he has done it a million times over. So you can focus on your business while the pilot takes you there. So I would generally, without sounding too salesy, I would actually suggest you to consider using a professional public relations service, because, like, for instance, as a company or as an individual who has been delivering podcasts for a long time, we have all the expertise, the learning that, okay, where to host it, what kind of equipment to use, what kind of mics to use, how to do levelation, how to level it out, what kind of topics work well, what kind of sound levels, a bit of music, how to make it slightly attractive. So we have been experimenting with this for a long time, and you need to just focus on the content. So that is the route I would suggest you, and I would invite you to talk to me and get in touch with me in case, to build a podcast of yours. And the interesting thing about podcast is it's pretty flexible even in budget, because you can decide how many episodes you want to do in a month based on your budget, and it could be once a month, it could be once in 2 months, once in 3 months, but benchmark it goes that the best frequency, the optimum frequency for podcasts should be at least twice a month. Otherwise you lose touch with your audience. So podcast is something which you should definitely consider in this era of being isolated and being away, and so that your brand, you as a person, your services are not forgotten to the world while you are behind closed doors and you are not being able to attend those typical networking dinners, networking parties, networking events that was so crucial to our business. So consider a podcast a new way of safely networking, but not just locally but with the world. Thank you.